War is often about strength, weapons, and brute force, but sometimes victory comes from pure deception. During World War II, the United States unleashed one of the strangest and most brilliant military units in history, the Ghost Army. This top-secret unit wasn't filled with hardened combat veterans or elite commandos. Instead, it was made up of artists, designers, actors, sound engineers, and set decorators. The kind of people you'd expect to find in Hollywood or an art school, not on the front lines of a war. But their mission was unlike anything the military had attempted before, to use trickery, illusions, and stagecraft to confuse the Nazis and protect American troops. The Ghost Army was officially known as the 23rd Headquarters Special Troops, and their mission was simple in concept but incredibly daring in execution: to create the illusion of massive US troop movements and battle preparations where none existed, thereby drawing enemy forces away from real strategic positions. To do this, they used a combination of visual, sonic, and radio deception. Their weapons, inflatable tanks, fake artillery, recorded battle noises, and entirely fabricated radio transmissions. It all started in 1944, when the Allies were preparing for the final push into Nazi-occupied Europe after D-Day. The US Army recognized that misdirection could be just as powerful as a real army in the right situation. The Ghost Army was sent on over 20 missions, often operating dangerously close to enemy lines. One of their most incredible achievements came during Operation Viersen in March 1945. Their task was to divert German attention from a real crossing of the Rhine River by making it look like thousands of troops and hundreds of tanks were gathering miles away from the actual attack site. The operation was a masterpiece of deception. The unit inflated hundreds of rubber tanks that looked convincing from the air. They erected fake artillery positions, complete with wooden cannons. Trucks were driven in loops to kick up dust and make it seem like reinforcements were constantly arriving. They blasted pre-recorded battle sounds through massive loudspeakers, the roar of tanks, the clatter of machinery, and even soldiers shouting, sounds that could be heard from miles away. Meanwhile, skilled radio operators sent out phony messages to complete the illusion of an entire division on the move. So, the result? Well, German reconnaissance was completely fooled. They ended up shifting their forces to counter the fake threat, which meant the real Allied crossing point faced far less resistance. By the time they realized the deception, it was just too late. The Allies had already crossed the Rhine. This was just one of many times the Ghost Army's creativity saved lives and changed the outcome of key operations. But their work wasn't just dangerous, it was highly secretive. Members of the Ghost Army couldn't tell anyone what they were doing, not even their families. To maintain their cover, they often posed as other units, wearing false insignia and spreading rumors in nearby towns. This level of deception was risky. If captured, they could have been executed as spies rather than treated as regular prisoners of war. The Ghost Army's creativity and bravery blurred the line between war and theater. Their story wasn't made public until decades after the war, remaining classified until 1996. By then, many of its members had gone on to have remarkable civilian careers, including famed fashion designer Bill Blass and renowned painter Ellsworth Kelly. What's astonishing is just how effective their unconventional tactics were. Military historians estimate that the Ghost Army's deceptions saved tens of thousands of Allied soldiers by preventing battles that never needed to be fought. They proved that in war, the mind can be just as powerful as the gun, and that a well-crafted illusion can change the course of history. Today, the Ghost Army stands as a testament to the idea that victory doesn't always come from firepower alone sometimes. It's the quiet genius of creativity that turns the tide. And perhaps the most mind-boggling part? The Nazis never knew they had been duped until well after the war was over.